Hello everyone, welcome back to our database design and development course. In this movie we will see how we can use SQL's update statements. In our previous movie we saw how we can insert records into tables, and in this movie we'll see the usage of update statements. SQL update statements is shown here, the syntax is shown here. First comes the update keyword with table name, and it is followed by set keyword where we set the values. We mentioned the column name that is to be updated with the expression, the value. And if you are going to modify more than one column, you have to separate them by comma, and you can have as many columns as you need in the table. And from clause shows the which table to be updated, and where clause is sometimes, most of the time, where clause is a must, because if you omit where clause, the update statement will be applied to entire records in the table. So you use a update statement to modify one or more rows in a table named in the update clause, and you name the columns to be modified and the values to be assigned. Here the table we mention and columns to be modified and the values to be updated, and the value can be literal. You can give a value or an expression which may be resulting in a value, or you can even use the default keyword or null keyword. Default keyword assigns the default values for the table that you assigned when you create the table, and you can even assign null values if you don't know the values. So the warning alert is when you omit where clause, the update statement is applied to whole table. Entire table will be applied with what you make in the update statement. Here we will see one example. It is update invoice copy. So invoice copy is a copy of the table that has already been created. Set payment date is one column, and we are giving literal date literal, and payment total also we are updating, it is another value, and where invoice number is equal to 97 upon 522. So this is going to be updated to one invoice number. Okay, so only one row is updated. In the other case, we are updating the terms ID of a column named terms ID. So we are going to set the terms ID to 1, where the vendor ID is 95. So vendor 95 might have done business with us more than one time. So for all the records of vendor ID 95, we are going to set the term for 1, because they might have given us some concessionary period to settle the amount. So here 6 rows are updated because there are 6 rows in the table with vendor ID 95. Next one is an expression. We are going to see an expression. Here we are updating the same table invoice copy, and credit total is going to be updated with 100 for the invoice number 97 upon 522, because this is the same invoice number. Already we might have missed $100 or 100 rupees in the value, so we are going to add that 100. Say for example, already we assigned $1,000 or 1,000 rupees previously when we insert the value. Later on we came to realize that 100 is missing, so we are updating it to become as 100,100. Okay, so after updating this, it will become updated by adding $100 or rupees. So we will see how we can implement this or another type of update statements in SQL Server. I have launched SQL Server Management Studio, and let me create a new query by clicking on this new query command. It shows the connect to the server. My server is desktop ILIL33, and I'm clicking connect. Now it is connected successfully, and the master database selected. I'm going to choose accounts payable to be used. So now I'm going to see the records available in let me work with the vendors table first. Vendors. Okay, so select all from vendors, execute. So these are the records available in vendors table, 123 rows available. So let me create a copy of this table. I'm going to see the table names here in this vendors table. So database, accounts payable, tables, vendors copy 1. So let me delete this. Vendors copy 2, delete this and vendors copy. This is another way to delete the tables from the database. It is using graphical user interface. So vendors 1, let me delete vendor 1. Okay, so let me create a copy table. Select all into vendors copy from vendors. We saw this previously. Run this. 123 rows affected. Tables, refresh, vendors copy. Now we are going to work with vendors copy. Okay, select all from vendors copy. Okay, let me run this. Okay, it is available. So here we will see how we can apply these update statement. Okay, so terms ID, default terms ID, default account number, and PO box null. Okay, so let me run a sample here. So we will set the terms ID. Default terms ID for CA is 3. Here also CA is 3. So for all these CA, we will vendor state CA California, we will change the default terms ID to 2. Okay, so let me run this. Okay, let us say you see the update statement. Update vendors copy set. Okay, before that we will see the tables, table values. Update okay, we will see the records available in vendors copy. Select all from vendors copy. Run this. Okay, these are the columns available, and I'm going to update the default terms ID column since it is easy for us to work with, and I'm going to work with CA. Okay, for vendor state CA it is 3, again CA it is 3. Let me change it to 2. Okay, so we will have these statements. Say update vendor copy set default terms ID equal to for records which are from where vendor state equal CA. So what it's going to do is update vendors copy. Okay, vendors copy, update vendors copy, set default term ID equal to, so already it is 3. For all of them we are going to make it 2, and vendor state equal CA. Before that we will check for vendor ID 1. Okay, so vendor ID 1 is from first vendor is 4. So first we will see how many records are affected. Vendor ID equal 1. Okay, where, so in this instance we will see how many records are affected. So I'm going to execute this. Already it is 3. I'm going to make it as 2. Okay, 1 row affected. Now let me run this code. Select all from vendors copy. Select the records and see. It's not changed yet. Why is the browse? No, vendor ID is 1, right? Okay, vendor ID is 1. For this it is 2. We will make it for vendor ID 4. I told vendor ID 4. Come on. Execute. 1 row updated. Execute. It is 2 now. Okay, so only 1 row is affected. It is 2. So if you want to apply for more than 1 records for all from California, so we will modify it. Okay, we will run this code now. Execute. 76 rows affected. Wow. Select all from vendors, copy. Execute. So first one is California, number 4 is 2, second 2, yep, all of them are 2. Select all from vendors, copy, where vendor state equal CA. Okay, execute. You see all of them are 2. This is how we apply for certain columns. Okay, now we will see to make this as 3, and say we are missing this where clause, so I'm selecting them all. Update vendors copy, set default terms ID equal 3, and I'm going to omit this where clause. We will see what happens. Execute. 123 rows affected, which means the whole table is affected. Select all from vendors, copy, execute. Here you see all of them are 3. So you have to be very careful when you are updating the table. You have to make sure you are applying the changes for the rows that you have to make changes. If you miss this where clause, you are gone, right? So please make sure you use the proper where clause. Now we will see how we can apply these to invoices table using an expression. Okay, so let's see what is available in invoices. Select all from invoices, execute. So these are the rows, and we have 114 rows. Select all into invoice copy, so we will call it invoices copy. Nothing is there, but just to make the syntax clean, I'm formatting with proper lowercase and uppercase characters. Okay, nothing is there, just to improve the readability. Execute. 114 rows affected, which means we have created a table called invoices copy. Delete this one, execute. Yes, copy is here. Now we can play with this. So here you see when invoice ID, vendor ID. So order by vendor ID, order by vendor ID. So here for vendors 34, 34, 37, 37. Okay, so invoice total is 116.54. okay, we can make it as 216.54. so we will see how we can do it. Update. So arbitrarily we are not making, we may have an instance where for the invoice ID 19 the actual invoice total was 216.54, but mistakenly the data entry operator entered 116.54, so we have to update it. Okay, update invoices copy, invoices copy. Okay, so then comes the column name, invoice total. Set invoice total equal 216.54. where clause is extremely important in this case, where invoice ID equal, invoice ID equal. You might wonder why invoice ID, whether we can't use vendor ID. If you, in that instance, if you use vendor ID, there are two 34s, and if you mention vendor ID equal 34, the other record will also be changed as 216 plus. Okay, so here we are going to use invoice ID equal 19. Invoice ID equal 19. Run this code. One row affected. Let's see. Select from invoices copy. Run this code. Invoices copy, what is that? Invoices copy, bros. Come on. And order by vendor ID. You see here, it's updated. And you can even have this is literal, you can even have an expression. In the case you would like to have an expression, we will see for all vendors with the vendor ID. For a certain vendors, they are giving us a 10% deduction from their invoice amounts, say for example. Or okay, let it be 10% reduction, no, 10% addition. In this instance we have to pay, okay, maybe because if you reduce maybe the payment total cannot be beyond invoice total, above invoice total. So in this instance we will increase 10% for invoice total. So what we have to do is set invoice total equals invoice total multiplied by 110%, okay, 110% we have to multiply. In this instance what we will do is, instead of having these, what we will do is 1.1. 1.1 means 110 divided by 100%, okay, that is 1.1. So for we will say invoice vendors 34 is, or 37, vendor 37 is giving that instruction because they have increased the price. So for some reason, any reason, okay, we have to increase the value of invoice total for vendor ID 37 by another 10%. That's it. So already it is 224. We will see what happens. Update. One row affected. Not invoice ID, surprise. This is vendor ID. Okay. 37. Execute. 3 rows affected. So what happens to these 224? 224 has become 246, okay. So 224 has become 110%, okay. That's how we have an expression. So vendor ID equal 37, so 37, 37, 37, all of them are updated. This is how we use update statements, okay. So you can practice with other examples, and also you can try on your own. In another video we will see how we can use delete statements, okay. Until then, goodbye.